Okay, welcome back to E-Managerial website. Today I would like to share with you about how can we map the process into the process risk. Actually, the auditor need to perform the risk assessment before they conduct the audit fieldwork. This is just an example for system access ID review process workflow under IT security management. So I would like to show some example related to the system access ID review. This is the workflow that IT department need to be performed as their BAU, business as usual. So auditor need to take the SOP of the system access review to map from the start point to the end point. For every process, we need to identify what are the process under business unit custody, what are the process that under maker part and under checker part, and also some process related to the system. So we map from the start point to the end point. For example, maker start the notify and prepare the system access ID review form to supervisor. This is just a step one, and step two, pass the form to the supervisor to raise to be verified whether the form is okay or not. It's just a dual control. And then reverse back to maker. Officer prepare the memo of the system access ID in the quarter review. For example, in quarter 2, 3, or 4. And the next step, officer access and extract the user ID from backend for respective department and division. This is just an area that we need to address. And some process they need to log into the system. System 8 just for example, they access to the system to extract the record or transaction to show on the form. And the next step, prepare and input into the system access ID review form in the spreadsheet. And next step, we pass the process to the supervisor to check and verify the total record or user ID from respective BU. And after that, the supervisor pass to the officer to send the system access ID review form to respective department head to get the official confirmation for their subordinate staff user ID. This is just a process that done by IT department. So for all node 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we all also present at the right column. In node 1, we describe about the process, what the real activity that performed by maker and checker. After the IT department complete and task their process, they will pass to the business unit or brand level to complete some requirement. And after that, reverse to IT to check and verify whether the acknowledgement from business unit and brand is signed and confirmed correctly. After that, we have the independent reviewer, like the IT assurance function we call Kara team. Kara team is an independent department. C stands for compliance, A stands for audit, O stands for risk, the last A stands for assurance. So this particular role need to check as an independent reviewer to provide what is impact, what is a defect process that will lead to system failure or lead to disruption of business process. After we map for all step from step 1 to the final step, so the last we need to identify the chance of failure. It's called possibility of occurrence. So the possibility of occurrence we map up on the process that we address from the top. For example, the quarter review of system access ID may not timely reviewed by IT officer in charge. This is just what we address. The chance can be occurs, meaning things can go wrong during the process, one to other process, and other chance can be go wrong or things can be go wrong. The record update of respective BU user ID sent to IT may contradict record, meaning that sometimes the reconciliation need to be verified properly before we decide to zoom to the next step. And the third one is a verification done by supervisor may not in place. Sometimes supervisor not emphasize on the monitoring or the process or risk monitoring. So sometimes he and she bypass the process or review. So the officer sometimes no need to pass to the supervisor to verify whether the record is correct or not. This is just the process that we map from the system access ID review. The first is a process mapping. We map into the table, and the second part we raise what is a thing can be go wrong. It means the likelihood of the risk. We call a possibility of occurrence. So the possibility of occurrence normally we map based on the process from process one to other process. For example, node 7 to node 8. What are the chance can be go wrong? So node 7 we raise what is the chance can be go wrong if they not comply is staff have negligence. What thing can go wrong? So we need to address for all process that we map. This is just for example on the system access ID review process workflow. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please like and share this video. Thank you. Okay, welcome back to the E-Managerial website. Today I wish to share with you how can we control the delegate authority, or we can say the release management. For this procedure or this process, we need to identify who is a backup person in case of principal custodian or principal officer in charge is not available. For example, when we deploy the critical system and during the deployment period and the principal custodian was not in place, so the DA, the release management form need to present properly who and when and how. And this is for example for that for database security officer. So the compulsory job is mean that the critical function that the principal custodian need to be handled. Number one is a check uh, character of a root account password in part one of combination pin, and the second is module designation and function, and third is a database diagram and rule, and number four is authentication list, and number five is a host IP and URL list, and number six is a restriction folder list, and number seven is user matrix and level of access. This is just for example only what that uh, daily work of the principal database security custodian work. So when the principal custodian is not available, so what that we can raise in the given that. Given that it means that that present what the principal hand over the daily work to the release or the backup person. So we need to list down what is a historical of the handover process when the principal custodian is not available. So this paper will show us to the auditor as a proof when the reassessor or auditor need to verify whether the moment that the principal is on leave. For example, they got compulsory leave, or they got maternity leave, or they have the annual leave or sick leave, something like that. So the period in particular deployment process in the system. So the second person need to be take over from the particular function that the database officer in charge need to be execute. So this just for example only. So please like and share this video. Thank you so much. Okay, welcome back to the E-Managerial website. I wish to share with you how can auditor review the system log file or application log file or security log file. Based on my experience, I define 8 different log file that auditor need to be review and define it as very significant when we need to identify the unauthorized access from the system or from the network or from the database. So the auditor will identify one is a authentication server or system log. The auditor review this log purposely to obtain what is a successfully or what is a fail of authentication attempt by unauthorized access. For example, the proxy server or domain controller or some other related to the authentication system that have the interdependency for the main system. So the auditor will extract the authentication server log to identify what is a potential of a failed authentication attempt to be logged in from the unmanageable on the section management. So this area auditor treat us significant. The next is a system log. The system log is generally involved with the system startup and shutdown or installation of unauthorized software. This is we focus on the freeware or application that installed without approving authority, and also involved with the file access, security policy change, or account change, for etc. And account creation, deletion, account privilege assignment, or or ID suspend, something like that, and involved with the privilege or user right. So the system log will record for all activity, all moment that the system admin involved with the change, involved with the modification and update for all related critical activity of access. Auditor will obtain this log from the period of time that transact by the IT security or IT engineer. And the next is IDS or IPS system log. Auditor may obtain this log to identify what kind of malicious attack or activity, inappropriate use or inappropriate configuration setting, or identify what is a chance that compromise from external factor or from the network sniffing activity. So the IDS or IPS system log very important that support auditor to identify what is a control gap during the protection level or protection mechanism within the network infrastructure. And the number 4 and number 5 just a similar, but the number 4 focus on the indicating system compromise for the internal device like a rootkit, bootnet, or Trojan horse or spyware or malicious code activity that focus on the outbound connection for the firewall rule. So the firewall and router lock will address whatever involved with the outbound connectivity that engage with the internal device. So the next is firewall log. Auditor will review this log to identify the unauthorized connection attempt or inappropriate use by unauthorized user or the system to be compromised by the external attack or insider attack. Then the number 6 is application lock. The application lock is very important, involved with the core system or involved with the report engine or involved with the change from the business unit. So the auditor will address the lock activity that include the unauthorized connection or attempt or account change or modification on the privilege or user right, the application and database user information or whatever involved with the asset and change management. Auditor will determine and measurable what is a chance and what is a thing can go wrong during the access and during the system maintenance period. For example, user vendor on outside support, so the vendor will remote to support the system in case of the our internal control was not tightened or was not sufficient. So the information can leak to the unauthorized people or to the third party without getting a consent. So this is a very critical relate to the reputation damage or relate to legality risk. Auditor treat the application lock as very important. So the next is an antivirus lock. Antivirus lock very important. Auditor will obtain this lock to monitor and verify what is update definition failure and what are the indication or the outdated signature and software and what is a critical alert or what is a threshold alert for antivirus in case of the virus catch in the wall service. So the network engineer or network infrastructure need to be monitored regularly and identify what is a threat and how can we mitigate the risk. We are the vulnerabilities of releasement solution on a certain area on a security patch code. So the auditor will ask and throw a lot of questions to the IT engineer on the antivirus lock, whether the IT management function have the proper internal control mechanism to measure what is a suspicious activity or suspicious area that involved with the system update or failure of the definition. The last one is a security lock. Security lock we involve only the patch management and some IDPS is mean the intrusion detection prevention system product may record information on known vulnerable service and application. Auditor will measure what is a security breach on the system configuration and some loophole on the patch releasement, whether the record contain the system vulnerability and application that lead to fraudster or hacker to compromise furtherly in case of the configuration broken or, conf, or the setting was not sufficiently comply as the standard requirement. Okay, this is the principle of the kind of log file that auditor need to be reviewed. in case of they are on field work. Okay, thank you so much for watching my video. Please like and share this video. Okay, welcome back to the E-Managerial website. I am Professional San. Today I would like to share with you how can IT auditor address the audit scope involvement with the enterprise mail service effectively. This is the new challenge that the auditor need to understand the process in depth, whatever involved with the mail service for the enterprise or for the commercial business. So this is the process that I map and need to describe to understand that auditor need to verify the critical process and function involved with the mail service. So I define in the 12 component that involved with the security threat and vulnerability that can compromise for the mail service and mail server. So this is just for example. So number one is physical security. So auditor need to understand what is the mail server located and what is a mechanism that the IT department need to restrict the person who access on the that particular premise or server room or data center. So this is very important that auditor need to understand what is a process gap in between the user access or vendor access on a particular restriction location. Can be physical asset control to record whatever involved access, record and relate to the fingerprint or thumbprint or biometric device to identify who's in access, what time and reason, and need to obtain a signature sign off from the involvement party. So the next is a limitation or say we talking about the least privilege lowest privilege to identify who is a particular authorized person to access the server, and also use the swap card access system to protect the mail server from unauthorized person or unauthorized access. So the next is a fire hazard protection or alarm system mechanism to protect the environmental like can caused by fire. So the last one is CCTV. So we need to record the location of the server that we locate. So the CCTV need to review regularly by the authorized custodian. So we have a lot of control involved with the physical and environmental area to ensure that we can detect intruder promptly. So the next is network security. It's very important involved with the mail server. So the auditor need to understand what is a structure defined in the DMZ zone that the IT department deploy for the security perspective. So we need to obtain the network diagram or infrastructure development or security planning, what action and what mitigation plan need to be execute upon the recommendation from the independent reviewer such as auditor, assurance, compliance, or IT governance, or IT risk assessor, or pen tester. So the next is a firewall protection in DIM. So we need to understand what is firewall rule, what is a policy requirement, what is a protocol, what is a port, what is an inbound package, outbound package, what is a rule up on the need to know basis, up on to asset basis. So this is whatever involved with the firewall protection to ensure that we can detect from the external threat promptly. So the next is involved with the IDS and IPS protection level. This is very important. The auditor need to obtain the audit log involved with the configuration, involved with the successful or failure attempt to access from the unauthorized people or from the external attack vector. So the next is a regular verification on network security rule and restriction job. This is involvement with the IT security. So we need to obtain the paper what is the IT security plan to restrict what is a network security environment. So the last one is exception rule control and reporting. So when we talking about the exception rule, whatever that we grant permission to the certain function or certain unit to access from the certain system or service. So we need to obtain what is a exception rule that allow or grant permission to access the system via the network activity. So the number three is service control and relation of the operating system as a control. So the auditor need to understand what is a gateway monitoring and escalation in case of spices detected. The next is monitoring the mail service throughout the operating system security hardening. This is very important. The auditor need to obtain the security hardening on the particular operating system that we install the mail server, mail service. So the next is verify the mail service on the least privilege or user right to ensure that the IT security have the user privilege mapping or the table or the least privilege from all user that access into the mail service. So the next is a verify file and folder permission with a standard behavior like need to know basis or need to have basis or need to access basis based on their function and role and based on the responsibility. So the next is monitoring or service run modification by system administrator or IT security officer. So auditor need to obtain the last modification record or change management form or transaction involved with the service run. So the IT auditor need to engage the IT security team or IT administrator team to provide what is a change on the critical service run on a mail server or mail system. So the next is very important is audit log. Audit log is very important that auditor need to identify who is access in the system and who is involved with the modification or process or system or port or protocol configuration, something around with the activity. So I have defined log matrix and sort or hacking attempt or denial of service attack. So we need to obtain what is a range IP come from, what is a source IP come from, what is a pool of the IP. So we need to understand involvement with the technical term. So the next is a mail configuration log, whatever involve the IT security log. So the auditor need to obtain the document involved with the mail configuration log. So the next is a log statistic and documentation. Normally, IT security need to analyze the log trend, what involvement with the threat, what is a trend or movement of the threat. So we need to understand what is the latest threat come from. So we need to obtain the log statistic. And the next is a log profile. So we need to identify what a kind of profile of the log, like log ID, log description, log owner, what is a period that the log come from, the stakeholder log, something like that. So the next is a privilege log. So we need to identify who access to the log and user right on the log. And the next is a threshold log review and reporting. So we need to identify what is standard threshold involved with the log. For example, like a threshold on a ping request or threshold on the physical RAM usage or storage usage, what involved with the our system availability. So we need to identify what is standard threshold that configured by IT security team. So the next is the interval or log review. So we need to understand what is the interval of a log review to measure what is a critical system or system, what is a critical system that need to comply with the interval of the review. So the last one is a log retention and safekeeping. After they done what is a review, what is a process. So we need to obtain the mechanism that protect the log and involved with the skipping. So the mail service involved with the hotfix and security patching. This is very important. The purpose that we got apply with the security patching to release the vulnerability on the system or threat or can be exploited by the external attack or insider attack or IT sabotage. So I have this down some server routing like a hotfix releasing with the last version. So you need to obtain a record that the IT engineer, IT security release the hotfix to the particular system. So the next is hotfix testing and validation before they roll out a deployment into production system. So the next is a patch ID listing for all privileged service. So you need to obtain what is a patch ID come from, what is a certain ID, and what is a validation of the ID that can apply to the particular or respective service. So the next is a hotfix analysis and it trend for security loopholes. So you need to understand what is a flow, what is a historical of the hotfix activity. So the next is a hotfix deployment timeline scheduling. So you need to understand what is scheduling, what is timeline that engineer and IT security need to deploy up on the approval from the IT steering committee or from the chief of IT security officer. So the next is a post validation of patch release. So after they release the patch, so we need to understand what is a further action to prove the auditor that IT security team need to make a further investigation on the patch releasement to the particular system or service on the server. So the last one is a hotfix documentation and tracking. So the number 6 is a server virus scanning and update. It's just a common, but I need to emphasize what is area or like a virus wall analysis and further mitigation plan up on the AV antivirus server catch the threat. So normally the threat will keep in the wall. So the IT security need to track need to verify what is the kind of virus come from, what is a mitigation plan that can mitigate that can mitigate what kind of threat or what kind of virus. Like a scanning, security rule appliance, mail forwarder, mail filtering, content encryption, mail transfer agent embed in the AV rule. So the AV rule need to embed what the key objective that we need to focus on a mail service like a mail forwarder, mail filtering, content encryption, or mail transfer agent involved with middleware. And this one regular virus signature or update deployment timeline. So this is just a common requirement that the IT auditor need to understand what is the principle of the mail service involved with the virus scanning and update activity. So the number 7 is a mail client configuration and setting. So auditor need to ensure that the mail client configuration is up to date and verified timely. So the next is a AV update on the it uh, signature and scan regularly. So the next is a mail client restriction appliance on executable file. It mean the file can be executed after the client click on the attachment or click on the hypertext link. So the malicious code can be executed and installed silently on the affected PC or computer. That is what involvement with the mail client configuration and setup. So the next one, auditor need to understand what is secure POP3 and IMAP. So the auditor need to identify what is type of the secure mail setup and ensuring the encrypt protocol of mail service like Kerberos, like TLS and SSL, sorry, SSL configure. So the next is mail filtering. So we need to filter what is a rule that come from and what is a requirement on a policy and procedure. What is the latest threat? Like we focus on spam and but from the denial of service or the those distribution denial of service attack. We refer to the source so that we identify. Okay. Okay, the next is a content and message filtering. The next is a third-party relay attempt restriction and blocking. So this is very important to protect the data loss prevention DLP mechanism. So the organization need to understand what is DLP, data loss prevention. So we need to protect the CIA security framework for the organization. So we need to protect the sensitive and integrity of data that the third party can relay the message to the unauthorized recipient, unauthorized person. So the next recipient validation rule. So we need to understand what is a proper validation that list in the contact list on the mail service or mail server. So the next is a suspicious mail notification promptly to the person in charge, whatever involved with the threshold or meet the threshold or break the security appliance. So the mail server or mail service need to notify promptly to the person in charge, like email notification or like the SMS, whatever with the notification approach. So the next is a mail configuration documentation. After they config for all activities, so the auditor need to obtain the documentation for the configuration. What is a historical come from? What is a version control of the documentation? So for all configuration need to be documented. So the number 10 is encrypted mail content and digital certificate. So this is just similar to the mail filtering. So this is focused on the encryption only. But we need to ensure that the mechanism use a best encrypt mail approach like pretty good privacy, PGP, or MIMI, like this protocol like recognized by the key certification standard, like SLA. Secure socket layer. So the next is a client server or mail function encryption appliance. So the next is encryption where mail sending and forwarding. So this is a mechanism we need to ensure that email can send to the right person. So we need to encrypt all the content or all attachment involvement. So the next is a key maintaining server is if they have a budget to maintain the key. So we need to establish the key maintaining server to control all the key. So the next is a last configuration or encryption rule to be documented. So auditor need to understand what is a user awareness involved with the mail service, involved with how to use the email properly and in the right way. So you need to obtain a record of the sufficient user awareness on how to and caution mechanism of how to use the earn emails securely. So the next is always refreshing on a risk association of external attack insider attack. So the next is including the mail phishing attack or social engineering attack or scam event dropping attack. So whatever involved these areas, IT security team need to engage the HR department to provide the user awareness how to use the email properly and in the right way. So the last one, auditor may look at the system contingency plan, or we can say the disaster recovery plan, to ensure the system can can have ability to recovery up on the mistakenly act by IT engineer. So we need to have the fallback procedure or rollback procedure. So we need to have the escalation process in case of emergency response. So we need to understand what is channel should be escalate to, what is a response time, and what is a person in charge in a structure or a response team. So the next is a network segmentation and blocking your procedure in case of a flood attack or DDoS attack or no attack. So the next is a pre and post verification procedure on crisis event before we address the system disruption or after the system recover. So we need to identify what is the process involvement. So we need to strategize or enhance the mitigation plan or mitigation procedure. So the role and responsibility need to be duly defined and addressed. And the last one is the plan exercising and role play is needed, and document maintenance and update. The last one is reviewing on infrastructure gap on a full HA requirement and mitigation strategy. For this 12 item that I share with you is a command that involved with a mail service. So thank you so much for watching my video. Please like and share. Okay, welcome back to the E-Managerial website. Today I wish to share with you how can we protect and prevent the logical boom attack. So before I go through the key preventive control with the 10 item that we going to discuss on the next. So I just describe the background of the logical boom attacks. Logical boom attack purposely fraudster need to set the specific time and date on the malicious code and compile into the thread to execute when the time and date uh, trigger. So the application will destruct or offensive the core system uh, uh, when the stars or when the fraudster have the chance to access the core system without monitoring process. So the logical boom attack normally come from the insider attack, come from the disgruntled employee. When the IT team have the internal conflict between officer and manager role, so they will put the resign the paper to the management to resign. But before they resign, they have the malicious activity to come up with the malicious code to set the specific condition to execute to destroy the database after they leave the organization. This is just a principle of the logical boom attack. So if you are the risk assessor or IT security or IT auditor or IT assurance or IT compliant, so you make sure that the 10 preventive control that I designed based on my experience. I would like to share with you one by one among the 10 of preventive control to make sure that you can protect from the suspicious activity from the insider attack. So the logical boom attack is most likely happen during the tense situation, or we can say the internal conflict between the staff, the IT staff, and supervisor or manager. For example, they in charge in the DBA database administrator, so they can trigger everything related to the core system or core database for the organization. So in case the control environment within the IT department was not tightened, so someday they will coding to compromise or to execute the specific time and condition to destroy the back end. So the mechanism one is a lowest privilege mechanism. Lowest privilege is a originate word, but the next we can say the least privilege. Least privilege and lowest privilege is the same. So when the organization come up with this mechanism, they may use the concept to minimize all access, meaning that the organization need to access the certain role and function, whether the function and role need to access based on the standard or criteria requirement, need to know basis, need to have basis, or need to access basis. So they they need to request to access the system upon their certain role and their certain function. So the IT security will determine or will measure what is a certain role and what is a function need to access on the critical system or on the certain module that the user need to access. So when you in charge in the asset management or change management on the system access, so you need to map the user right or privilege from all business user to make sure that we gain the privilege up on the need to know basis or need to have basis based on the function they hold. So for this mechanism can help you to review what is a certain right, what is a certain function that we can gain the privilege up on the function, up on the approval from the line manager. Okay, so the next is segregation OUT. Segregation OUT very important for the for protecting the logical boom attack. For example, in the development team, so we need to segregate what is a development team, what is a testing unit, what is a compiling unit, what is I mean that measure what is a system integrity test before we confirm to deploy or roll out into the production system. So the situation or UT can address which unit or which function can perform. So auditor or risk assessor need to review the audit log, whether the function are in place up on the mechanism we discussed. So the next is a regular security patch update. So this is very important. The mechanism will indicate you to stay up to date for all critical system and network infrastructure, whether the system or network application or network system are up to date up on the release the patch code to release all vulnerability in the system or in firmware to make sure the vulnerability uh, 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 can protect from the certain antivirus or threat protection. So the patch management will focus on the latest update of the patch code and monitor regularly whether the patch code released properly from the originate website, originate vendor, and ensure the patch processing uh, is no failure during the patch performance. And the custodian need to review the patch transaction whether the endpoint or client server are fully patched for all terminal. And the next is security hardening both network and system. So the security hardening very important for before we go live to the production system, IT security or IT assurance to ensure all security hardened to the critical function or module on the operating system or on the system that we deploy to the production. So the security hardening will harden whatever that involved with the loophole or vulnerability or flaw of the system to make sure that the attacker cannot to compromise upon the we know the best practice of the loophole. So the security hardening can help the system to minimize all the attack, to minimize all the chance of attack. So the next is a centralized gateway monitoring. This is very important. When we talk the centralized gateway monitoring, the IT security team or IT admin at IT administrator need to monitor regularly, need to check regularly whether the gateway or the access from internal access to the critical function need to address the traffic or the bandwidth. What is a IP come from? What is a blacklist IP? What is a whitelist IP? What is a watchlist IP? What is unknown threat? So whatever with the rule and condition, the IT security team need to be monitor regularly. What is a threat and come from? So the next is watchdog mechanism. Watchdog mechanism is the application, or we can say the integrity or intelligent checker file to spread out for all application to find out what is the system that contain vulnerability or loophole, to identify who is unauthorized modifier on a certain file or the system. Sometimes the fraudster they include the thread that build the logical boom file to execute when the time and that are trigger to distract the core system or information system for the organization. So when you put this mechanism will help you to address what is the scheduling of the system that fraudster have the pre-planning to execute the malicious code on the certain application or certain system. So the next is monitoring log file. Normally, the IT security role need to be reviewed uh, based on the critical system. For example, the IDS or IPS system, IT security need to check as a weekly basis based on the volume of the transaction, based on the package floating, whether the internal or external transaction. So the log file need to be reviewed properly, review the time, the person, the user ID, the failure, what kind of the failure on the log, what are the successful unlock to be attempt access to the core system. So the monitoring for the log system very important to identify what is strange behavior from access while they perform the server performance check. So the server performance check will carry out by the server management person in charge. They will review every morning to check whether the server status are healthy or not. And in case of the server performance meet the threshold, so the custodian need to report directly to the line manager to notify that the server performance is not good. So the action or remedial action need to be taken up on the result of the report. So this is we can known as monitoring control. So the number 8 is a regular pen test. So this is a very important. The risk assessor or IT security officer or you engage the vendor to conduct the security pen test, whether on network side or on application side or on database side. So you need to include for all to detect promptly what is the gap in the system or in the network. Sometimes the tester did not define the testing scenario properly. So the best practice of the pen test, they will conduct the white box testing. White box testing meaning that they can test what is a pen tester need to understand the existing infrastructure. Also, some certain part did not declare to the pen tester. So the white box testing can include black box testing and white box testing. Sorry, this is a gray box, not white box. Gray. Gray box testing. Gray box testing means they are combined together between white box and black box. So to address the loophole and flaw of the existing critical system or application. So the next is cyber security incident handling procedure. This procedure can support the crisis in case of the external attack. For example, DDoS, worm, or Trojan, or whatever that are involved with the internal attack vector. We are the SYN flood attack. So the procedure will describe what is activity can recovery on the critical system with the acceptable timeline that present properly in the MTD, maximum tolerable downtime, to ensure that the business can resume up on the certain period of recovery plan. So the system recovery or contingency plan need to ensure that the plan will include the incident security handling to provide the specific what is a kind of attack from external factor. So the last mechanism is an automated checkpoint system. This is also the preventive or detective from logical boom attack, whether the fraudster attempt to compromise to execute the threat without the improper validation process within the IT security environment. So this approach can help IT security team or can help the IT independent review team like the IT assurance or IT compliance to address any type of threat or both local and external attack vector when they are being compromised or exploitation to the critical system. So the 10 mechanism you should consider to make sure the logical boom attack can be minimize all the chance of attack, meaning that the control are workable. So we need to test all mechanisms that I mentioned early to make sure all the mechanism is workable and report to the management as a regularly basis. So thank you so much for watching my video. Please like and share this video.